Your brother, your friend, your dietitian back again for another installment. Books that have changed my life. Nothing Down by Robert G. Allen. Let's get it poppin'. Robert G. Allen, Nothing Down for the 2000s. Dynamic New Wealth Strategies in Real Estate. The all-time best-selling real estate book, now completely revised and updated. So this book was actually written, I believe, originally in the 80s by a man named Robert G. Allen. He's a wealth coach, a real estate investor, entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. He wrote other books called Multiple Streams of Income. What else did he write? Creating Wealth. Creating Wealth. He wrote a lot of different books. I actually found out about this book because I read another book which I need to do a post on, a video on, because it actually impacted my life more than this book has. But this book was in the appendix, or it was in the appendix reference section of the other book, and it is called Nothing Down for the 2000s. He originally wrote the book in the 80s, and it was about how to acquire real estate property with nothing down. Now, just a quick side note. Real estate is the number one factor, the number one method of achieving, acquiring, building, constructing, founding, starting wealth in America. 80% of 80% of homes, land, etc. is owned by 10% of the population. So anytime you go into the hood, you go into the ghetto, you go into any community, you'll see that when somebody owns the property, they treat it with more esteem. But to get back to what I'm saying is, if you go into impoverished communities, 9 times out of 10, they don't actually own the buildings in the community. They don't own the liquor stores. They don't own the grocery stores. They don't own the barbershops. They may run them, or they may lease the liquor store, or lease the building that provides the service of the barbershop, but they don't own it. Someone outside the community owns it. Therefore, someone has more power outside the community. If you go into, say, the Jewish community, or you go to different communities, you'll find that they actually own the buildings in the community. What is real estate? Real estate is any type of building. So I'm standing next to a building here. I mean, it's just a small, the purpose of it doesn't matter, but the point is it's a small building. If you have an apartment building, a grocery store, an office building, a high rise, a skyscraper, a museum, a movie theater, if you walk into even a McDonald's, if you walk into any building, physical building, you're dealing with real estate. Even if you're dealing with just a land, that's real estate. So the thing is that there's not going to be any new land, any new land on the earth. We got 26,000 miles of earth, you know what I mean, in terms of the circumference. And so there's not going to be any more earth going on, any more new real estate, unless some islands pop up from volcanic eruptions or something like that. But you get my point. So basically, he who owns the most land wins. That's why you see that 10% of the population owns 80% of the land. This is misconception and this lie going on, and where I'm at right now is basically I'm tired of sitting by the sidelines. I'm tired of watching the story be told, and I'm not telling my story. I'm not expressing things from my methodology and my state of mind. So I'm going to share my perspective with people, and then we'll leave it out there for, their side and my side, or other people's opinions and my opinions. What they say, Elijah Muhammad said, don't condemn or criticize a dirty glass of water with, putrid water in it. Just set up a nice clean glass of water beside it, and you let people choose. So that's where I am now. Basically, there's this misconception and this false belief that millennials, or what I call alchemists, millennials are people that were born in the last maybe 30 years. They grew up with the internet. They were born before the internet, and they saw it grow. They saw it come into manifestation. They saw it manifest. They saw it. We remember dial-up. We remember when Mac first got big, when Apple first got big. We remember when iPod first came out, when Napster first came out. We were a part of all of that. So that generation, they're just telling us lies and saying that we can never live the American dream. I'm not trying to live the American dream. I'm trying to live my dream. But the point is that we can never own homes, when really that's a lie. The truth is that you can own property. You can own your own property if you do it right. And this book shows you how. And here it talks about the different, and you see I got all kind of highlights in here. I'm not playing. He's breaking it down, but he talks about basically the different creative ways of getting a house with no money down. He doesn't talk about scams. He doesn't talk about corrupt ways of doing it. It's just about using the right methodology. So the first thing that I would like to say basically is finding, the first methodology he mentions is finding government programs. There's something called the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, that provides, it's basically a government-backed program. It's a program where the government backs loans given by mortgage lenders or mortgage brokers. So that could be Chase Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or your local mortgage broker or lender. But the government says they're a third party. They say, we're not going to give out loans. We're just going to we're going to be a guarantor. So we're going to say that we're going to guarantee that if this person defaults, this millennial, this alchemist, I like to call us alchemists, but this millennial defaults, this alchemist defaults, we'll pay you, Chase, we'll pay you, Bank of America, for the loan that he defaulted on. With that, you only have to put down 3.5% of a home. So, for example, say you find a nice house that's, let's say $100,000, right? That's going to be hard for you to find in most cities. But let's say, for example, you find a $100,000 home, you only have to put down 3.5%. That means you have to put down $3,500. $3,500 is doable. Most millennials, alchemists can get that. But you have to be creative. You have to use your God-given creative talents and initiative. Initiative and creativity is beautiful because you can do the impossible with it. You can get something from nothing. Most people think, how the hell can I get $3,500? Well, there's family members, there's Kickstarter, there's Indiegogo, there's GoFundMe. There's all kind of methodologies. But you can also get your house financed, doubly financed or dually financed. So if you have a credit line, if you have a large enough credit, or if you know someone else with a large enough credit line, meaning they have a credit card or a credit line from a credit union where they can draw that $3,500 from and give you that, loan you that, and let you, or give it to you as a gift, but really loan it to you and you can pay them back, then that's an opportunity for you to get a home. Now, what do I say? I said that seems kind of messy. What did I mean by that? With the FHA homes and loans, you can actually get the down payment, which is the 3.5% of the home, that $3,500 I mentioned. You can receive the down payment as a gift. So say you have a mother, aunt, somebody who has access to a large amount of credit, who could say, or they just have $3,500 that they want to give you as a gift, or they can just loan it to you but say it's a gift. They can write a letter stating this is a gift and it's not to be paid back. $3,500, boom, to my grandson, boom, to my nephew, boom, to my niece, and now I have access to a property, right? Now I have the down payment for the property, and then over time you can pay her back in installments, or him back in installments, or you guys can do it however you want to do it. But that's one way to actually get access to a home with no money down. Another thing he talks about is finding motivated sellers. There's some desperate sellers out there who just recently got a divorce, inherited a home that they can't afford, that are willing to actually work with you and get the money get the home out of their hands, off their hands basically. And you can look up in the courts and see like recent divorces, or you can go and look on MLS, or you can go mainly in the courthouse and in downtown or in your city center, and look for recently received homes or recent divorces. You can contact them, send out letters or emails or whatever, and say, hey, I'm interested in purchasing properties. In addition to that, there's a program called the CHDAP program, California Housing. It's basically a grant. I can't remember the name, the acronym, or what it stands for. But if you qualify with income wise, and most millennials do, most alchemists do in the beginning when they come out of college, fresh, out of college, they got some student debts. But there's programs in each state, but specifically in California, it's called the CHDAP program, where you can actually get that 3.5% that I told you about, the down payment. You can get 3% of that covered. So you can get the FHA backed loan, right? You can get 3% covered, and you only have to cover 0.5%. So you take 3.5, you subtract 3%, you only have 5% left. 0.5% left. 0.5% of $100,000 home, that's only $500. If you get the seller to pay the closing costs, you don't have any expenses besides the $500. Now, granted, with the CHDAP program, there's the qualifying parameters. You have to make a certain amount. You have to live in certain counties. Certain counties have certain upper limits and things like that. But there are strategies out there. There are methodologies. Another thing is teaming up with someone who has money but doesn't have knowledge of real estate. You may gain knowledge of real estate from reading Robert Allen, and you may want to purchase a home. That's how you know I'm in LA in California. You hear the Mexican music? Anyway, if you may find somebody who wants to invest in real estate but doesn't have the knowledge that you gained from reading about Robert Allen, from reading about real estate in general, and then guess what? You team up with them and say, hey, you pay the down payment, but I'll manage the property. I'll rent it out, or I'll manage the property, right? And then lastly, I'll say that this book helped change my life because it talks about using credit to finance a down payment of a home. So for example, say you are a millennial, you just got out, of college, you're alchemist being someone who changes lemons into lemonade, changes water into wine, changes the negative into the positive, right? So you get out, you're working for Google, you're working for Chrysler, you're working at the local hospital, you're working doing PR, doing advertisements, whatever, you're a co-writer, whatever. You get out, you're making 50 G's, you're making 40 G's, you're making 60 G's, you're making 35 G's, however much you're making. You go into your bank and you tell them, hey, you go to better yet, a credit union. You go to your credit union, you say, hey, I want to get extended line of credit line. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see what you got. Check your credit. Your credit is decent. This is just assuming your credit is decent. You open up a credit line, and the credit line says 2 G's. Or, yeah, let's say it's 2 G's. So you get that from one bank, you move to another credit union. Why credit unions? Credit unions are more suited for people who are the individual, common, average Joe that wants to improve his financial situation. Whereas a big bank is more centered on profits, and it's not owned by the people. Credit union is actually owned by the users of the bank, so you can get a lower interest rate. So you go into a credit union and say, all right, I want to get a credit line for 3 G's, right? They check your credit, it's looking good. You get it for 3 G's. You got 2 G's here, 3 G's here. You go in and you say, I would like to withdraw or pull out from my credit line those 3 G's, right? They give you 3 G's. They charge you an advance. They charge you a percentage of the 3 G's, or they, whatever, however it works, whatever the policies are at your bank. You go to the other bank, you pull out the 2 G's. Now you got 5 G's. You can take that 5 G's, put it in your bank, let it sit, let it bake for 3 months. Then you can use that money as a down payment on a home. Say you find a house that's 150 G's, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, whatever you find out in the suburbs, just 30, 40 minutes outside the city by train, whatever. You take that money, you go to a lender, go to a real estate agent, say, hey, I got this 5 G's I saved up, and I want to put a down payment on the house, right? But the trick is that mortgage lenders, banks, they only look back into your statement for 2 months. So if you have anything in those 2 months period where it shows that you had a deposit and it's from a borrowed funds, they're not gonna allow you to use that as a down payment. But if you had it in there for 2 or more than 2 months, for 3 months, guess what? You can use that borrowed money to swing a deal, to finance a deal for a home. So these are some strategies that I've kind of come across dealing with Robert Allen's Nothing Down for the 2000s. It's changed my life. It's opened my mind, and it made me realize that you can get your homes and real estate with nothing down. Actually, you shouldn't even be putting anything down. It doesn't make any sense. The name of the game is nothing down. Your brother, your friend, your dietitian, back again for another installment. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop some comments. Build with me if you think you liked it. You want to ask questions. If you know about more information, let's chat. Let's build. Peace.